That alone, commentary of Atmopadesh Satakam, verse number 6, comprehending the incomprehensible. One has to wake up, then go to sleep, has to eat food and embrace. Thus, in this way, many ambivalent urges arise. Therefore, who is there to comprehend reality's one changeless form? The commentary. This verse ends with a rhetorical question. Who is there to realize the one changeless form? Both the problem and the solution that are going to be elaborated in the rest of the work are here set forth. In the world of spirituality, there are many antinomies, such as God and Satan, good and evil, the noumenon and the phenomenon, the transcendent and the immanent, Brahman and Dharma, and the absolute and the relative. The antinomies presented in this verse are the changing life urges and the unchanging form of the absolute. As soon as we enter into any field of inquiry, what impresses us as paradoxical is the receding of the familiar and the certain into a world of vague ambiguity and incertitude. Sir Arthur Eddington gives the example of a table. He says that a physicist who is using a table has before him two tables. One is phenomenal and the other is real. The phenomenal table can be seen, touched, and used. All the same, as a physicist, he knows that it is not real. What is real to him is an aggregate of fast-moving molecules that are invisible to the naked eye and are in a state of flux, ever agitated with the swirling force of entropy. Thus, even a familiar table can vanish into an incomprehensible world of assumption when one becomes serious about assessing its reality. The position of the Vedantin is not very different from that of the physicist. He also has to tackle the paradox of appearance and reality, vying with each other. The senses are easily affected by appearance, while the real is elusive and contrary to the very nature of the mind, which is actively engaged in pursuing it. However hopeless this case may look, one cannot let go of the pursuit and accept the appearance as a fait accompli. We are worldlings. It is the functional nature of the earth to rotate on its axis and revolve around the sun. As a consequence, we experience the alternation of day and night. The earth is called dhara, that which supports. There are many things on earth which are supported by their latent potentials, their dharma. Dharma is both the structural and functional secret of all forms of individuation. Although the structural and functional system in an individual is a self-governing unit, in the sky and the eye that gazes upon it with delight have a physical cohesion that cannot be easily explained. Although the structural and functional systems in an individual is a self-governing unit, it is part of a more complex system. The shimmering star in the sky and the eye that gazes upon it with delight have a physical cohesion that cannot be easily explained. The psychosomatic effect of day and night was dealt with in the previous verse. Whether we are wakeful or sleeping, there is in us an essence that does not change. The Upanishads call it Brahman, the all-embracing unitive principle. All the major functions of the body and mind are supervised and kept operating, even when we are asleep, by a governing intelligence that is constantly adjusting and tuning the individuated system to its maximum harmony. This harmony is experienced as peace, happiness, and unity. Our basic nature is this changeless essence, referred to in the previous verse as the witnessing light of an unlit lamp. Dharma is our second nature. It has the paradoxical characteristic of coupling the changeless with an ever-changing course of becoming. As individuated beings, we are modulations of Dharma. Waking and sleeping is only one of the major binary functions of the complex mechanism of our nature. When we wake, the demands for nourishing the body and amusing the mind are keenly felt. For many, the main pursuit in life is in finding bread and butter and distractions that can save them from boredom. There are many words in Malayalam for eating, but in this verse the Guru has carefully chosen the word bhujicchedanam to reflect this idea. Bhu means that which manifests. Bhuj is that which causes becoming. It is also related to bhoga, enjoyment. One who enjoys is called a bhokta. We experience a sense of agency in three ways, as the knower, the doer, and the enjoyer. From verse 1 to 4, our attention was focused on the knower. In verse 5, it was turned on the doer. And now, in the present verse, the focus is on the enjoyer. Seeking nourishment for the body is only one of our several life urges. Jesus said that man does not live by bread alone, meaning that a person is not merely a body. The body is animated by an energy that knows, thinks, discerns, and evaluates. This phenomenon is called the soul or spirit. The nature of the spirit is to pervade. It is characteristic of the spirit or the self in us to return again and again to the pure being of the universal self to which it belongs. It does not feel at home when it is confined to the limitations of a body. Just like water finding its own level, the self is always in search of the boundless. The individual's attempt to cater to the necessities of the body is a relativistic form of dharma, while the spirit's need to transcend the limitations of the individual's body, family, clan, tribe, and nation is its absolute dharma. So we have two types of dharma: catering to the necessities of the body, that is relativistic dharma, and the spirit's need to transcend the limitations of an individual's body, family, clan, tribe, and even nation is its absolute dharma. The spirit's affinity for the absolute is like a child's attachment to its mother. Both have a compulsive need to relate to each other. Although the child and the mother have separate bodies, they were one for 9 months. The period of the child's confinement within the mother's womb conceals many secrets of the spirit and its manifestation. Even before the formation of the fetus, a part of the child and the mother were together for ages, millennia, even from the very beginning of the universe. The child feels at home only when it regains its at-one-ment with its seedbed, the mother. The mother feels the same way. She suckles the child, embraces and kisses it. When they are united, they forget themselves. Paradoxically, the soul's search for its freedom through expansion binds it at every step. The mother introduces the child to the father, from whom the child got its equally timeless other half. The child's love is extended to the father and later to brothers and sisters. In this way, love expands the domain of interest and also creates new bondages. The dharma that sustains the life-giving energy, that fosters the characteristics of the individual and unfolds as the growing personality, has several levels of formation and shades of meaning. As the sole ground of individuation, it is undifferentiated from the Absolute. As the primeval cause of manifestation, it is the temporal function that introduces motion into the field of spatial extension. As the existential base of individuation, it is an evolutionary process that channels and organizes indistinct and undifferentiated energy to assume definite forms of structural integrity that can function with physical, chemical, biological, and, at the human level, psychological propensities. As the dynamics of a living organism, it is a retentive store of memory that is used as a ready reckoner with which to decide courses of action and reaction that are conducive to both the organism's self-preservation and to the furtherance of its life term as a stable system. As the propensity of life urges, it is an amalgam of a pleasure-seeking collective will and a continuing process of individuation in which every blind drive and conscious effort is controlled and decided upon by its longitudinal history. And as the immediate interacting agent that recognizes itself with the self-awareness of an I consciousness, it is a homeostasis that governs reflexive and instinctive behavior, acquired habits, adaptation, and willed actions that serve the self-regulating system, which is intent upon maintaining its fluid equilibrium. Such is the complex sense in which dharma is to be understood. It is this dharma that decides the meaning of persons, things, and events that are objectivized from time to time as the counterparts of the knower, the doer, and the enjoyer in a person. Reading meaning into a situation is the same as promising a life urge or securing the system against attack or damage. The eidetic cohesiveness, which one sees as meaning, is what creates the togetherness of an ensemble, or gestalt. Formulating a gestalt is identified by Indian psychologists as the configuring of artha. When dharma and artha come together, they impel the individual to desire, kama. The desire can be for union, raga, or for separation, dvesha. This double-faced compulsion is essentially libidinal. The 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita outlines 7 modifications that influence the course of our lives. Ichha, desire; dvesha, hatred; sukha, pleasure; dukkha, pain; sanghata, the interrelatedness of properties; jiva, the biotic principle; and sthairya, the will to live. Another pertinent reference is found in the Yoga Aphorisms of Patanjali, in which he lists 5 hindrances to spiritual union: the kaivalya or aloneness aspired to by the yogi, and the realization of non-differentiation with the Absolute aspired to by the Vedantin, are not doctrinally different. They vary only in their methodological approach. So by examining the hindrances enumerated by Patanjali, we can get a clearer understanding of the 7 modifications of the Gita. Patanjali's 5 hindrances or kleshas are avidya, ignorance; asmita, egoism; raga, attraction; dvesha, repulsion; and abhinivesha, clinging to life. According to the Gita, the 2 constituent factors of our lives are the triple modalities of nature, prakriti, and the consciousness that is characteristic of the spirit, purusha. Nature is seen as being responsible for the aggregate of cause and effect, and the consciousness of the spirit as being responsible for the search for happiness. As the spirit is imprisoned in the body, which is dominated by nature, the search for happiness is vitiated by the distorting and veiling principles of rajas and tamas. Even sattva has a tendency to create a sense of attachment to anything pleasure-giving. In the diagnosis and treatment of these defects, yogis and Vedantins hold different views. In Patanjali's Yoga Aphorisms, chapter 2, Sutra 17 says, "The cause of that which is to be avoided is the union of the seer and the seen." The Gita does not recommend withdrawal or turning away from the world that is seen, but the cultivation of a transparency of vision by which one sees the Absolute alone as the one reality residing in all. Perceiving the self alone in everything is given as the ideal in the 6th and 7th mantras of the Isha Upanishad. Now he who on all beings looks as just Eva in the self, Atman, and on the self in all beings, he does not shrink away from him. In whom all beings have become just Eva, the self of the discerner, then what delusion, moha, what sorrow, shoka is there of one who perceives the unity? 6. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmaneva sarvabhuteshu cha atmanam tado na vijugupsate yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijanatah tatra ko mohakah shokah ekatvam anupashyatah. In Narayana Guru's Yoga Darshana, he combines the positions of the Vedantins and the yogis when he says, Satatam yojayati yad yunakti cha chidatmani mano nirodha rupavayam sa yoga iti shamsitaha. That which always unites the mind with the reasoning self and also gets united with it, and which is in the form of restraint, that is praised as yoga. Na drishta darshanam drishyam vidyate yatra tatra hrit yoj yed vasana yavat yogo ayamiti yogavit. Where the seer, the sight, and the seen are not present, there the heart should be joined as long as incipient memory factors are present. Such is yoga, says the knower of yoga. Although the nature of consciousness is to seek liberation, the instrument at its disposal defeats that purpose. The serial order in which experience comes is awareness, then activity, followed by a consolidation of the total effect as a conditioning. Such conditioning inevitably leads to a future occurrence of the same experience, which will be dominated by a reaction of flight or combat if the accompanying emotion is painful, or attraction if the accompanying emotion is pleasure-giving. Identification of consciousness with the modalities causes forgetfulness of one's true nature. This is what the Guru laments in the present verse. And the free translation of this verse is as follows. Alas, who is there to know the one changing reality when all are subjected to the frequent rise of latent urges, which ceaselessly compel them to wake and sleep, to eat and to caress the objects of their desire?